Howdy, 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 and welcome back to the Garden Nerd. Today is July 18th, 2020, and let's get started on the garden tour for July. Alright, here is the grapevine. It's doing pretty well. We have a lot of the fruit sets coming on. The nice thing about the arbor is that they are dangling down for easy picking, but there are ones up above here which will make me have to get the stool to kind of get up over top of them. But there's still a good amount of fruit sets, even though I didn't trim it. So I'm going to get some, grapes out of this, probably continue to make more jelly or something. I still have chili from like the last year or two, so I may need to think of something else. Maybe I'll try my hand at, some terrible wine. Who knows? Alright, so, up over here, the sunchokes have been munched down a lot. I believe it was the groundhog, because I have two little groundhogs in the area, and I know they just love to eat everything. So, they've bounced back a bit. They put on some new green. So, I'm hoping that they'll do well. I did do a goodish amount of weeding on here, so they're doing. We'll see how they do at the end of the season. I had a pound put in here because that's what I ordered from the seed company. So I'm not going to harvest it all because I want it to come back year after year. But maybe in the fall I'll do like a little harvest on it and see how I do. Now over here in this raised bed, I pulled out the garlic that was here. That's, storing and drying out in the garage right now. I just put a extra tomato here, just because I had one, and I just need to put something here. And then here, there was one there, which it just got chomped, are squash plants, like winter squash. So they're like the, I think they're like Queen Anne table squash or something like that. I just figured I'd put something here for the time being. I kind of had those seeds there, and it's just a good storage squash. Up here in this corner is the cantaloupe, which, is now doing something. It's not pumping as I would hope it would be, but we'll see if I get anything out of it this year. Now, I don't think I'll get anything out during the summer. Maybe I'll get like a late fall cantaloupe or something. Over here in this spot is the little garlic seedlings that I actually pulled some out just to take a look at them, and they did get bigger. So what I'm going to do is kind of let these ones, completely die off with their greens and fish out their little garlic starts, and then I will use those, and I don't know exactly where, but I'll plant those for overwintering. So this way, I think this would be year 1 for these. So I think year 2 should they get a little bit bigger and fatter, and then year 3 they should become like, regular sized garlic, if I understand the process. Alright, so over here now, in this little garden area, this originally was fenced off. One of my father's friends had some extra fencing, so I just kind of wrapped it around there and extended this part here. Just so this way I could kind of have a slightly more larger gardened off area, just to deter the groundhogs and bunnies. It's not going to stop them, I absolutely know that, but at the very least they haven't really gone hog wild on anything over here. I put some beet seedlings there. I have grass that I need to pull. The chard, I haven't saved seed from chard, so I'm not sure when that's going to be done. I'll have to look into that. Just to see, how it's going to do. The beets there are still coming along. They're little, they're not as big as I'd hope. And then the turnips there, same issue. It might just be lack of light or nutrients or lack of sun from the trees up above. So I'm going to keep playing with this area. May not be the best grown area, but I could probably do other things with it. Now up over here, under that little extra fenced off area, I originally had radishes, but the groundhog just pops their head underneath and gets in there and munches away. So I threw some bean seeds, because that's another one that they love to eat my plants on. I've lost so many freaking bean crops to these groundhogs, because they just chomp on the leaves before they can even start going. So I need to keep them in fenced areas. So I'm hoping with this fence here and then that little extra that it will deter them once they start popping. I mean, I put the seeds in a couple days ago, so they haven't sprouted up. So we'll see how they do. But over here, the tomato plants are doing pretty good. This is about 6 feet high, I think. So some of these guys are popping even higher. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 tomato plants in here. They have their fruit sets going on, which is excellent. There's some nice ones, you know, down over there, and you know, some of the cherry tomatoes there as well. All right, so over here, some of the onions have kind of plopped over and are going. Most of them are a little bigger than golf ball size. You know, some of them are misshapen. They'll be fine for eating, but not for storage. I think I may get a couple decent, like, sized onions out of here, and then over on the other spot where I have more onions from the onion sets. A mixed success so far for the year for that. I have a volunteer, maybe a squash or a melon. I'm not exactly sure which. Here, some tomatoes and stuff there. And then I put some yellow squash there. Also along here, I have yellow squash, zucchini, and my tomato plants. Now over here from the tomatoes is where I had the garlic here. The potatoes are still there in the ground. I'm letting them go for a bit. But I transplanted some squashes, I think like yellow and green squash, and another queen table squash there. And there's some random volunteer squashes, some kind, popping there as well. So we'll see how they do. But just to kind of swing back to tomatoes, I got some decent sized tomatoes going on, so hopefully they will not get eaten by the critters. I'm hoping not, but fingers crossed that will make it. Now up over here in this spot where I had the cantaloupe, yeah, this is the cantaloupe, and I tried to seed some other stuff here, but it just didn't really take. Again, this area not the best area in the garden. I may just, you know, reconfigure everything just to kind of get it going. Up here is the flower beds, and then this little area here. I had the beans here on the last video. I think like 2-3 days after I planted them. I'm like, yay, they're awesome, they're living. And then something came, probably the groundhog, and just chomped on them. My one corn is doing its thing, and then I just transplanted a tomato down there. Then we got some zucchini plants here, and I know there's some squash that's just vining underneath. I don't know if I spaced those enough, but if I get something fantastic, these guys got some pretty decent sized squashes from them, so I'm pretty happy with them thus far. But just over here, I have the flower bed, which is still very weedy. I keep hitting it little by little, but not doing the best. The foxgloves are going to seed now, so I'll probably save those and try to propagate them more there. And then we have the snapdragons, which are now blooming with their very pretty colors. These are like the Rembrandt ones that I got from the seed Hudson Valley Seeds. So they're just very pretty. I always like snapdragons. They were like one of the first flowers that I kind of learned to grow. Alright, so the blueberry bushes are doing pretty good. A lot of the fruits have started setting. I've been picking them little by little. I did have to rescue a bird that got underneath the netting the other day, and had to kind of cut him free because he got his little leg tangled up. So he flew off, he was fine, but yeah, it's just one of those things with the bird netting. Alright, so over here in the central raised bed area, the cucumbers have taken over. I was worried I wasn't going to get cucumbers. They haven't started setting fruit as of yet that I've seen, but they have a lot of flowers. There's a lot of pollinators going around here, and they've just kind of sprawled everywhere. And I think I had like probably like 3 spots where that had 2 to 3 plants in them, and they're just gangbustering all over. And then intermittent in between, I have winter squash that's kind of going everywhere, and also in here there is a cantaloupe somewhere. Yeah, here's like one of the cantaloupe leaves. That's different, so it's surviving. I also transplanted some of my onion sets, not onion sets, but my onion starts from seed here, and just kind of transplanted them there, just kind of help fill this out. I may need to actually hack back some of these cucumbers because they're kind of taking over the entire bed, but you know, I ain't gonna complain too much. I transplanted my basil from seed into here, just to give myself some more delicious basil, so some more pestos. The pepper plants are doing really good. The jalapenos, these 2 bushes here are doing, and then the other more sweet peppers, they're doing pretty good. This one fell over, and when I staked it back up, the nice pepper that I had on there got sunburnt, so I just kind of cut it and eat it early, just because I just didn't want to waste it, and I love peppers. Up here we have volunteer squashes that have come up. Not sure what variety of squash this is going to be, but I just kind of trailing it there, making it a little bit harder to get to the rest of the garden, but that's fine. Yeah, here's one of the decent onions that I have. That's more about almost baseball size, so I may get a handful of those. Now over here, the groundhog keeps popping their little nose underneath and kind of getting into these things, but I thinned out the carrots, and I actually got I got a tiny little snack. They weren't huge. I think these would be a lot better off if the greens would stop getting eaten by the critters, so then they could actually go to the roots, but I'm dealing. And then here you can kind of see some of the little carrot seedlings that I started. So I still have the plan. These guys are going to be pulled first, and then later on those guys. The beets there, still the same issue of the groundhog munching on things. More turnips that they don't seem to bother. So I'm just going to hope to get a decent harvest of beets out of here, but I do have my backup beets now. And this here is the spring onions, which have a couple different rows going on. These were the first ones, and then I did a secondary planting. And these were the ones that I transplanted over on that bed over there. Because I just kind of took a bunch of clumps and kind of put them in and spread them out. Because I think I should be able to get like decent sized like storage onions from them. Just cause. And then the ground cherries are freaking insane. This is about 2, almost 3 feet high. If I had to guess, because like the raised bed's about 6 inches to 8 inches about high, and this is a little bit above my waist. I haven't had these grown myself, but my understanding is, yeah, these little things here are gonna turn white, and when they do, then the fruit inside is gonna be ready. The tomato plants were munched on by the groundhogs that were sitting behind here, so I guess that's fine because the ground cherries have definitely taken over. Alright, so here in the flower bed, volunteer tomato of some kind. The lavender is kind of getting buried by it. Then there's the cosmos that have started to bloom. And then I have more of the Rembrandt snapdragons here. And then a couple of other things. And this bed here is where I kind of put my charcoal from the fires, like after that, so I clean out the fire pit and I'm using this as a mulch. I did this last year, and then again I do it this year whenever we have like, you know, little campfires or whatnot. It kind of holds the weeds back a bit. It's just an idea that I just kind of toyed with, and it's working. I mean, it still breaks down and still enters the soil, so I'll have some good, carbon-rich soil at some point after keep doing this. The front flower bed in front of this spot is just a hot mess. It's on the to-do list, as it always is, because yeah, it's just overgrown with crabgrass, couchgrass, whatever you want to call it. Now into the garden itself, I have celery that I planted right into there, into that spot. It's a little bit over from where I had it in the last year. I just had the seeds going, so I just kind of popped them in, hope to get that. And then over there in the corner, there's a bunch of different plants, but the ones that are climbing tall are more cucumbers, because I was worried I was going to get a cucumber harvest. Yeah, that's not a worry now. But there's a broccoli in there, along with some chard, and then some like lettuce, and I saw a spinach pop up, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's like a very dense area. I still have the turnips, which I had to pull some because they were getting eaten by something. But they should be actually ready to harvest pretty much now. They're getting to a good size. Over here, I pulled the lettuce because it was all bolting. And I put in some beets here. So I'm, trying to get some beets because I do love me some beets. And then over here, I have 6 bean plants because I tried to do the the climbing beans there, but the groundhog would hop on the fence, climb over the fence until I added the fence, and then just eat all the things. Then over here I still have some greens with the chard, some lettuce that I started there, so those are doing pretty good. And then lastly, over here, I still have the carrots. I kind of just pop them over there. I'm letting those go to seeds, and there is the small little cabbage that's grown back. So I'm kind of excited to see if I can actually get myself a decent cabbage without it getting eaten. But yeah, so that's this little back area. All right, so in the trial bed area, again, I kind of got screwed up just from my terrible compost that I put on there. Just because it was super weedy. You can see how many weeds there are. And I did like an insane pull up, kind of even had to dig out the weeds. So like the no dig dig trial is kind of moot at this point. But I did put in some more squash plants. You can see right there is more of the squash. So I have another squash over there. And then I had an extra cucumber plant behind it just because I just, I'm going to have too many cucumbers. It will be a good problem to have. But yeah, some basils, and then, flowers there. Then over here in this bed, I have some of the Swiss chard in the front, and then the mustard I'm letting going to seed because I want to see if I can save that, use it for seed for next year, and maybe just, use mustard seed in like culinary cooking. This is Gigi. She is my cat, and she's in her little catio. She's going to supervise us while we do this video. I made her the little catio and her brother Socks, but he's not here right now, but she's here. Hey, G. Ooh, yeah. Okay. On to the patio garden here. So, we're going to do things just from this side, just because that's where I'm starting. The pepper plant is doing its thing. Starting to get flowers and setting them. Over here, the tomato plant and the ground cherry plant are sharing this one. They seem to be doing good. I don't see any problems with them. They have some good sets going on with that. And these are the honey drop yellow tomatoes, the sun gold tomatoes, that sort of thing. So I'm pretty excited for those. This is the jalapeno and the other pepper, and then in here is the other jalapeno plant that is totally chilling with my mustard greens. Over here, I pulled out the last crop of the salad mix. I just reseeded it the other day, and you might be able to see some of the little seeds popping up. I just planted those seeds a couple days ago, so I'm not very surprised. Over here, I pulled out the arugula, and I just kind of put more cucumber, because it has this little trellis to climb up of. I think last year, the year before, I put cucumber here, but they got rust. We'll see if these guys do any better, just because there's a little trellis, so of course I want to put something viney there. Alrighty, folks, that was it for the garden tour for July. I'm just doing this filming right before I leave for my week vacation, so I'll get the nice surprise of coming back home to a garden that's probably a bit more overgrown and too many squash and zucchinis to deal with. It'll be great. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.